Next, House Bill 376, Delegate Guyton, and there are 6 witnesses who will have 2 minutes each to testify. So whenever you're ready, Delegate.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Members of the Ways and Means Committee, for the record, I'm Delegate Michelle Guyton, serving District 42B in Baltimore County. And I'm here today to gift you all with a really fun and exciting bill. I'm here to request your consideration of House Bill 376, which is the Outdoor Preschool Licensing Pilot Program. This bill allows MSDE, Office of Childcare, to adapt regulations to license forest and preschool programs. In addition, the MSDE will collect data and report findings of this initial licensing phase to evaluate the program and determine whether to expand it. So the purpose of this pilot program is both to increase access to affordable, high-quality early learning programs and to extend the benefits of nature-based learning to families who prefer that choice. Priority for participation in this pilot will be given to existing programs in areas where there are limited early childcare options, and they should also include urban, suburban, and rural areas. The benefits of a nature-based educational model is well documented, and these programs already exist in Maryland. There are close to 60 programs listed on the Natural Start Alliance website. I had a wonderful day at a program in my own district, and I recommend that you all do the same, because you're not going to just see kids running around in the woods. You will observe joyful children engaging in really creative educational curriculum with certified teachers. So these nature-based programs, however, are limited in their hours of operation and in the numbers and diversity of the families that they can serve, because they can't be licensed under current MSDE regulations. They can't accept scholarships for low-income families or provide special education services to kids who need them. So representatives of this emerging and promising sector of our Early Childhood Education Committee are here asking for the opportunity to be licensed, to be elevated, and to be held to similar high standards as other licensed early childhood programs. So I urge a favorable report on House Bill 376 to increase access to high quality, innovative, really cool, fun, data-supported preschool programs in Maryland. And just for your information, I want to bring your attention to the wide support for this bill from almost all of our districts. We've received letters of testimony from constituents from most Maryland counties, from the faculty of the Antioch University Nature-Based Early Childhood Graduate Program, so that's a thing, from the directors of both elementary schools and Judy Centers. We have letters from the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, Blue Water Baltimore, and even the National Wildlife Federation, which is kind of exciting for one of my bills. So I also want to point out and to thank Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott for his letter of support. So I respectfully ask for a favorable report on House Bill 376. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Victoria Brucefaro for 2 minutes, please. Or Rose. It says Rose.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Chairwoman. And good afternoon to the Ways and Means Committee. It's an honor to be here. My name is Dr. Victoria Rose Brucefaro, and I'm an environmental educator and research scientist living in Baltimore City. As someone who has studied the effects of early childhood environmental education for the last 11 years, I am here in support of HB 376. My primary interest in this bill is twofold. First, for what you heard from Delegate Guyton about increasing accessibility of these programs for children and families who would stand to benefit the most from this type of early childhood education strategy. 5 years ago, in 2017, the North American Association of Environmental Education released a report that verified what a lot of nature-based early childhood educators could anecdotally support, and that is that the racial demographic of children enrolled in these programs coming from racially minoritized groups is less than 20%. So my interest in having the bill pass is a lot to do with allowing the programs and the families to attain the resources that they need from city government or government in general, and namely the financial resources such as school vouchers. The data that would be collected and gathered during the pilot would provide a realistic picture of the unique modifications that are needed to include these programs in a professional licensing process. And I hope that the committee will support HB 376 because this pilot would allow us to get started in moving the needle a little bit closer to an equitable, sustainable approach to early childhood education.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, Katie Rooney, please, for 2 minutes.
Good afternoon and thank you. My name is Katie Rooney and I'm the Director of Early Childhood Education at Irvine Nature Center in Owings Mills. That also includes our licensed nature preschool program. I urge you to give this bill a favorable review and thus increase access to high quality childcare and learning experiences that nurture the whole child. Having spent the last 13.5 years in early childhood education, with all of them but 4 of them in nature-based programs, I can easily rattle off the benefits of outdoor learning for young children. Those benefits are listed in my written testimony. But today I'd like to focus instead on painting a picture of real children that have benefited from programs like this. I like to think about the child who needs to move and whose voice is bombastic and pitched. Inside, he would be labeled as challenging, disruptive, or worse. Outside, he climbs and he runs freely, and that boisterous voice is the leading cry that organizes his peers in games and cooperative work. I think of the child with a congenital muscular condition who has difficulty with walking over curbs, up a step stool, or down a hill. Outside, her days are filled with therapy as she chases after her friends over uneven terrain and scales mulch piles. She has ample opportunities to grow stronger and more confident every day. I think of the child whose father unexpectedly died. Outside, he is able to have space to grieve, and when it becomes too much, he's able to push away his pain with stumps, splash in the muddle to see that, in a muddy puddle, to see that he does indeed still have some sense of control and power. And he is able to witness that as the seasons change and the weather changes, that no time of darkness stays forever, and that storms pass and the sun does eventually return. I think of the child learning English. Their family recently immigrated. She's reserved and unsure how to communicate, but outside, the language of play is so universal, she can jump right in and play. I also think of the children that aren't regular students of mine, but instead come to join us for monthly trips and carry homelessness, food insecurity, and trauma on their backs. Their teachers have often said to me that they never get to do this and really play and be kids. So for these students and for all children in Maryland, I encourage you to give this bill a favorable review and to increase access to high quality care, provide more options, and ensure a brighter Maryland future.
Thank you. Monica French, please, for 2 minutes.
Hey there, can you see me?
No, we did. You just, there you go.
There we go. Hello. My name is Monica French. I am proudly born, raised in Silverside in Baltimore City. I am a mom to 2 young children. I'm a passionate early childhood educator. I have 15 years of experience working as a teacher trainer, and a preschool director, half of which was spent in traditional school settings and the other half was in outdoor school settings. My current role is with Baltimore City Recreation and Parks, who I'm honored to be representing today, as the director of the Forest Preschool at Carrie Murray Nature Center, in support of Bill HB 336. This very important legislation aligns with the city's mission to create a healthy and green Baltimore. Every day, we witness significant positive effects of outdoor preschool experiences in the children we serve. Free, unstructured, natural play is of high importance because it is a continuous process of learning. A study by the North American Association for Environmental Education shows that children in forest preschools are well prepared for kindergarten. Individual learning processes are enhanced and gained abilities can be transferred to the classroom. Nature-based preschools foster the skills and values that lead to environmental literacy, which supports goals of the K-12 environmental literacy standards required for graduation in Maryland. The majority of outdoor preschool programs are found in upper middle class, suburban neighborhoods, or rural areas. Unfortunately, children from low-income communities or urban areas usually don't have those options. The Forest Preschool at Carrie Murray Nature Center is incredibly lucky to play, explore, and learn under the healthy forest canopy of Gwynns Falls Leakin Park. Yet, we are one preschool in one Baltimore City park. Our Forest Preschool program currently has a wait list of over 100 families. These families come from all over the city, and they're a reminder of all those who could benefit from Forest Preschools in their communities. With all of Baltimore's beautiful parks, that is an exorbitant amount of potential. Outdoor preschools promote the mission of the 3 guiding pillars of Baltimore City Recreation and Park: healthy recreation, conservation, and social equity. Carrie Murray Nature Center, its staff and teachers strongly believe that increasing the opportunities for children to learn outdoors will benefit the city and the state of Maryland. Thank you.
Thank you. Rebecca Morris, please, for 2 minutes.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of this bill. My name is Rebecca Morris, and I'm the mother of Peter. He was a student at the Notchcliff Forest Preschool in Glen Arm, Maryland, one morning each week last school year. Peter has cerebral palsy. He uses leg braces and a walker and has a variety of language and communication delays. Peter is now 6, and while he has participated in a variety of high-quality educational and therapeutic programs, they have mostly been indoors and highly structured around goals and objectives. So when I learned of the outdoor preschool at Notchcliff, I wanted my son to have the opportunity to learn and play in an educational setting that was completely different from any he'd ever experienced. A program that was structured but flexible and focused on exploration and nature connection. Peter requires a one-on-one adult assistant, and we were fortunate that I could provide that for him. Without my physical support, many parts of the program would have been inaccessible to him. Through the Notchcliff program, I saw Peter grow to love using his walker to travel the forest trails, to play in the mud kitchen with classmates, and to enjoy puppet shows and puzzles with outdoor themes. Peter gained feelings of confidence and independence and a sense of self-direction over his learning, which he has rarely ever had the opportunity to feel. The program provided a safe and supportive outdoor learning environment that allowed him to take risks, explore, and experience natural consequences. For example, when you don't wear your raincoat, you get wet. Peter's participation was only possible because I could attend the program with him, which is something that many families of students with special needs simply are not able to do, making the outdoor preschool experience inaccessible to so many. Licensing outdoor preschools is the way to make them accessible for all. I've seen the power of outdoor early childhood education for my son, and I know it has the potential to provide enormous benefit for so many other students with special needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Atiya Wells, please, for 2 minutes.
Hello, thank you. Thank you, members of the committee, for this opportunity to testify in strong support of HB 376. My name is Atiya Wells. I am a pediatric nurse and the founder and executive director of Backyard Base Camp, an urban environmental education organization based in Baltimore City. I fell in love with nature about 10 years ago when I went on my first hike. I made my first mud pie when I was 25. And after learning more about the natural world, I recall feeling both excitement at learning what lives around me, coupled with a deep sense of grief that I did not have these experiences growing up because my family didn't have discretionary income for these types of programs and activities. I now have 2 children. They're 9 and 5 now. And we could also not afford those opportunities for them. However, with a program that we started on our urban farm, we were able to provide a summer camp for children in Baltimore City last year. It was completely outdoor, and although we only had 8 slots, 40 families wanted to register in the first 24 hours. So we do know there is a need for programs like these. Research has also shown that outdoor education has led to better social, emotional, and academic outcomes for children. Please vote favorably on Bill HB 376 to establish an outdoor preschool licensing program and keep Maryland ahead of the environmental education sector. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Monica Lubinsky, please.
Hi, thank you. And thank you to this committee and to all of the delegates who are already sponsoring the bill. My name is Monica Lubinsky, and I am the founding executive director of the Eastern Region Association of Forest and Nature Schools. We provide support and professional development for our teachers all over the country who engage in this type of outdoor learning. Particularly with the pandemic, it's really exploded with a need for children to benefit from all of the many social, emotional, cognitive, and certainly mental health benefits of being outdoors. I'm here to encourage you to vote for this bill. It may be unclear as to why an outdoor preschool may need to be licensed or even what that actually is. An outdoor preschool is a preschool program that is fully immersive in the outdoors. They can take place in parks, on a farm, it could be in the woods, it could be in the meadow. Maryland, we're fortunate that we have many different kinds of habitats where this might occur. Outdoor preschools do not want an indoor classroom space. They do not need or use an indoor classroom space. The learning is really about nature connection and a focus in those spaces. Yet, the teachers are still trained and hold credentials so that they understand developmentally appropriate practices. They still are trained in first aid and CPR. They still have important health and safety protocols in place, as well as documenting student learning and aligning with developmentally appropriate curriculum. So these are, in fact, preschool programs. They look and feel, in terms of the relationships with families and teachers and students, they look and feel very much like a typical childcare center or preschool, except there's not an indoor classroom. The learning happens outside. As many of the other witnesses have testified, outdoor preschool licensing is important. First and foremost, this issue of equity comes to mind. Children whose families need to use a childcare subsidy cannot use them in these unlicensed programs. They can't. They don't get to come. And that means that the small programs that do operate have to offer a very short day, which again limits who can attend, because only families that need short amounts of care or activity for enrichment can attend. And it also means that those small programs are forced to choose between setting aside money in their own budgets to make sure that there's access for those families, or pay their teachers a more livable wage. So it's a horrible position for these programs to be in.
I'm going to have to ask you to wrap up your testimony.
Sure. I also just want to point out that we hold a high bar for the licensing standards that the Office of Child Care has in place. And we want to be sure that teachers are equipped and can conduct these programs in a really safe manner. So again, we asked for your support of HB 376. There's a great deal more information in my written testimony if you're looking for some more background information, but thank you.
Thank you. Our first question is from Delegate Ebersol.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Very sorry about that. I was actually looking at the bill. Good idea. I've actually been to an outdoor preschool and found it pretty exciting how they had the full bodysuits for the kids. When it was really, really cold, they were still staying outside. So I'm very excited by the concept. There is some language in the bill that has me a little concerned. There are two references to the State Department of Education being able to waive or adapt. Adapt is one thing, but waive existing childcare licensing requirements is pretty broad. I think probably, I hope the sponsor would agree, we need to tighten that language down. Also, saying they can adapt the Excel program as necessary. I think probably some guardrails. I would ask if the sponsor thinks that's a smart thing for us to do. I'm also curious, so I'll ask it all at once and you can kind of go into it all of it. At the end, we say that there's very specific, the Eastern Region Association of Forest and Nature Schools and the Outdoor Preschool Licensing and Advisory Team are cited as the department shall use them. So I don't know much about them. One I could find online and one I couldn't. So I'd be curious why they were selected and who they are. Also, and about the language, MSDE, adapting and waiving rules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you so much for that question, Delegate Ebersol. I'm glad you think this is a good idea. It's a very exciting program. I took some notes. You had a couple of questions there, and I did neglect to mention, thank you for bringing it up, that in fact, there is one amendment that we've introduced to the bill. It's purely a technical amendment that took out an extra word, and, which should not have been in the bill. And then I am considering favorable It's still an amendment.
What's the word? Can you tell me where that is?
It's AND on page 4 in line 11. It was just an unnecessary addition typo. It doesn't change anything about the bill. But I'm also certainly willing to, and I've told Christina push this myself, take the word waive out of the bill as a friendly amendment.
Thank you.
Your other questions, let me see.
Just how were the organizations
Sure.
that are cited, how were they selected? Who was MSDE interested in them, or, you know?
I think I'll throw that one to Monica.
Thank you. Yes, we've convened an outdoor preschool advisory team about a year and a half ago. A number of us working all over the state, stakeholders, everyone from the Maryland Association for Environmental Education to some folks who we've been working with through the Project Green Classrooms initiative, a number of stakeholders across Maryland who are outdoor educators and environmental educators, researchers, professors, make up this outdoor preschool advisory team. I am the co-chair of that association. I should also mention that in addition to organizations, there are also a number of family childcare providers represented. So the group is really a large group of stakeholders who feel strongly that in order for this to happen successfully, we want to be sure we know that the Office of Child Care doesn't have a lot, if any, real specific experience on 100% immersive outdoor programs. So in order for a pilot program like this to take place, we feel it's really crucial that that guidance happens hand in hand so that the guidelines make sense to accomplish the nature-based educational components that we're looking for.
Thanks. And I don't want to stretch this out, but I just want to know, those two organizations, the bill says they shall work with them. So has MSDE been consulted? Just pretty much yes or no? We worked with them. We're hoping to work with them.
We're hoping to work with them.
Thank you very much.
Are there any further questions? Okay, seeing none, that concludes the testimony on House Bill 376.